Yes, sir. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Mentez not Tampa, Florida. I want to say Uhuru, and Uhuru means freedom in Swahili, and we as African people should always be thinking about our freedom. When you come to city council, you should be, this is a place, this is government. You should be talking about capitalism, socialism, imperialism, colonialism, stuff like that. African people, we're not at that level as yet, but most definitely we should be talking about reparations. We should be talking about where 26% of this population, we should get 26% of the budget. We should be talking about the most important white man ever lived, ever walked on this planet of Earth. The most important white man ever lived. Do anybody know who that is? King Leopold II. Not Adolf Hitler, not George Washington. The most important white man ever lived, ever walked on this planet Earth, King Leopold II. Now, what did he do? Committed a lot of atrocities against African people. They say between 10 and 20 million dead. The first genocide in the history of this world, committed by who? King Leopold II, King of the Belgians. He was a good man to somebody. Hitler was a good man to somebody. George Washington, John Adams, all those people were good men to somebody. They were a good man to their family. The serial killer, John Wayne Gacy, is a good man to somebody. Is this city good to African people? No. The person who doing whatsoever they doing over at Station 13, I'm sure he's a good family man or woman. We don't know who's doing it. But the fact of the matter is, if this city, and we've seen for decades in this city, putting African people out of their homes, grandmothers, entire families out of their homes because somebody's sitting on the porch that they don't even know, or they say somebody committed a crime associated with that address. And this city say, hey, we got a zero tolerance. White people always talk about a zero tolerance when it's African people, unless they're talking about 10-20 life. A zero tolerance. But all this stuff going on at Fire Station 13 and no implementation of a zero tolerance. That's what we would like to see. We would like to see this city council send a strong message. Hey, look, like you can do that at home, you can do that with your friends, you can do that wheresoever. You know? A lot of African people use the N-word, but they know not to go on the job and do it. They know not to go in the school system and do it because it would get you fired fast. And whosoever, they need to hold that, whosoever's the station chief over there, they need to hold him accountable or her accountable for that. At Fire Station 13, hey, y'all can't keep having African people live under this form of terror. It terrorizes African people, and that's why I say week after week, African people are afraid to come down here. Literally afraid.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Shagret Dawson. I'm here again because for some reason, something as simple as a public records request can't get filled. And for those who don't know, which shouldn't be any of you all should know, I am a current litigant, but I'm not talking about my litigation. I'm talking about my book. So I'm speaking to all of Tampa and the rest of the world, and hopefully DOJ, because for some reason, for 6 years, I can't get one simple piece of paper that's attached to the criminal report affidavit that you all used to prosecute me for a charge that didn't even exist. But I do need the sworn statement from the individual on this paper that all of you all received last week. I need that document. Because if you didn't have the document, then we know for a fact that the individual officer who happened to be, who's now retired, and his supervisor who's now retired, filed a false charge that could have put me in prison for 5 years. And like has been raised here so often, and I don't normally raise it, it's kind of strange that people who look like me seem to get charges out of nowhere, and some of them don't have the wherewithal to stand on their own the way I did, and I self-represented. Yes, I did disqualify 4 judges that are attached to the 13th Judicial Circuit. Yes, the Florida Supreme Court's Chief Justice, Jose Lombardo, sent the judge in from another circuit, and an hour later, after 7 months of this city's police department prosecuting me, he tossed it out. There was no basis legally for that charge. So I've already paid the police department also for the document. So I don't want to hear about the $10,000 invoice. I want to hear about the money. I've already paid you for one piece of paper, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know how long the statement may have been. But that document exists, and you all know it. Plus, you're holding up me writing my book. So with that being said, I'm hoping that I don't have to keep coming up here to ask for the same document that everybody out here knows exists. It shouldn't take this much. Our Constitution, in Article 1, Section 23, and Article 1, Section 24, the Florida Constitution, gives us access to public records and meetings. So let's not pretend we don't know. And you all know that Statute 876 of Section 5 through 10 is how you all got your positions, because you took an oath to uphold the Constitution when you took your office, and we all took an oath. I recited the one I took back in 1985 when I was ready to go into the military, and I took the same oath in 1986. So, that being said, I'm hoping that I don't have to come up here and ask you to give me what you have to give me. And with that being said, shout out to the University of Thomas Jefferson High School, 4401 Cypress Street, class of '86. You all have a great day.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, please say. Yes, ma'am, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Robin Lockett. I am here on several items. In regards to public records, I'm seeing a trend. School board, I've heard it here also. In regards to there being a charge for someone to get public records, for it to be printed or for it to be provided. There has to be a system where this is not a burden for people to get public records, because it's taxpayer money. I see it as taxpayer money, right? For people not to be charged an exorbitant amount to get public records as a deterrent. Everything is about strategy. We talk about that neighborhood item number 6 that that's coming up. Strategically, when you let people know that there's a zoning or a meeting coming up, you have to put them in a strategic location, right? If you have good intent and you really want people to see it. Strategy in regards to keeping people away or deterring people. No transparency. That's what it seems. And I've heard this time and time again, and that's concerning to me. So in regards to public records, there being an absorbent charge, somebody should take the initiative to try to find out what's this about, how can we prevent this? We've been taxed and charged for everything else in life, but for information to be provided to the citizens shouldn't be a charge. Chief Tripp, that situation really concerns me. Every time Chief Tripp comes here and she stands before you guys, I feel the tension with the union, her, and just this whole atmosphere. In regards to that monkey being hung from a ceiling, don't care when it happened. I'm assuming it happened when she was, while she was there. And it was told to me that it was looked into, but it's wrong. It's wrong. We know what it is, and our perception, so it's looking through our lens, right? Anything dealing with others, you have to take a second to look through their lens. Disrespectful, wrong, racist, everything above. Who's going to protect her and she's doing the right thing? How I see her when she's up here, I see her as a black woman trying to do the right thing, and the good old boy system is standing against her. She's trying to do the right thing. And I thought it was very, very disrespectful that while she was standing up here giving her presentation, she was interrupted 3 times, concerned about how long the union was going to get. That made no sense to me. So we have to do better. We have to do better. And how do you support and protect her?
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
We know who you are, but state your
and
name.
councilmembers. Orlando Goods. I jumped out of bed, several calls. Give me one second, kick my brother's chair. I didn't want to miss it. Okay.
got 3 minutes.
Here to talk about in 2020, you remember a motion we put on for a chief diversity officer. There's been no report on the status of what that officer is doing or has done. The recent events at the fire department, if you recall, I made that motion because there was an incident in the city in 2020 when George Floyd was murdered. I want to show this to the public, but this is a graphic of a confidential file that was sent to me.
Can you put it on the overhead? No?
I think it's pretty graphic.
All right.
That was sent. I didn't like the fact that
Wait,
nothing had been
go
done.
back to the mic. Go back to the mic.
I like the fact that nothing had been done. I went to Chief Bennett, took that file in a personal envelope, and asked what was being done about this. At that time, he said he was going to look into it again. I never knew the status of if that person was dealt with or not, but I thought as a person who was of a supervisory level, it should have been dealt with very severely. That photo there was sent for a group text to employees in a certain department, and some of the folks on the group chat did not like it. That's how my office was notified of that. The chief diversity officer, a deal was made with the chief of staff. Wasn't perfect. I didn't like the deal that was before because I wanted that chief diversity officer not to answer to the mayor. That office be independent and be able to handle these kind of issues, because as an employee, I know, as a former employee of the city, I know retaliation is real. It is real. And you can't come forth to tell things because you're going to be dealt with, trust me. So I would ask that this council have the courage and the guts to go ahead forward and ask for the administration to come back with an actual report on the chief diversity officer's role, what has been happening, if there's been any investigations, and if not, that this council strengthen that office to where people can go forward to be able to tell what's going on, and that diversity officer can be able to curtail some of the implicit biases that are going on. I also talked to Chief Bennett in reference to that class. It is a great class, but what you find out, a lot of people are not signing into the class or sign in and go somewhere. And I told him that class should be an in-person class so people can get the proper training. It is a great class, and the instructor of that class was great. And I commended him for that class, but it needs to be an in-person class to stop out racism in the city in itself, because it's not just one department, it's a lot of departments that has it. So I would ask this council put their best foot forward and get that done and get more stern on the chief diversity officer and remove from the mayor's auspice for independence. Thank you.
Are you talking about the implicit bias training or something separate?
The implicit bias training was good.
Yeah, we all did it.
It was great. I enjoyed it. I was able to get some out of it myself. But the problem you have is people who say it was online, they'll just turn a computer on or blank the screen out. You need to make sure people are in that class, they're being attentive to the class, and being interactive in the class to be able to understand how Hispanics talk with their hands. They're not aggressive, that's just what they talk. How someone can say, well, for example, you have a heavy-set person, have a beautiful face, and they say, oh, she has a beautiful face, but she's fat. Examples that instructor was giving to show how biases can be on people. I enjoyed the class. I just think that class needs to be an in-person class. That way we know who's sitting in the class, and all supervisors and everyone have been assigned and have taken that course. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.